This is Off Track.
Is that why you just didn't text us back trying to plan the Tuesday episode this week?
I was in bed because let me tell you something. Jet lag with a newborn is a real.
I don't understand. I don't understand either of those things. Please explain.
What bed is? I understand why you don't know what that is, James, because you again are gallivanting the world. Tim knows exactly what bed is because he just got out of it.
I just clearly got out of the shower. My hair is still very wet.
Did you just get out of bed?
No, I was. I'm painting some walls in my apartment, and I didn't do it all that carefully.
Do you have the skill set to paint?
That seems like a risky endeavor. Yeah,
I sure don't.
Do you know the 3 P's of painting?
Primer, paint, and pajamas?
Not
those are 3.
A single one.
Well, then why am I wearing these?
I don't know.
Dirty socks?
I'm not entirely sure.
You shouldn't paint. You should wash your floors.
Well, there was just a little bit of painter's tape on that sock.
Okay. Anyways, hi guys.
Wait, what are the 3 P's of painting? Now I feel
preparation, preparation, and preparation.
I like mine more.
Yeah, that's why your apartment walls look like.
Not yet. Well, one of them does.
Yeah, the one that you painted. Yeah,
it looks okay.
I feel like there's only one wall in your apartment that can be accessible.
I'm starting
to paint,
off,
and that's the walls going upstairs.
I'm starting in little sections.
Why is your hair wet for having painted?
I just got out of the shower because I got a little paint on me.
Oh, because the painting's not going great. So we had to shower. Got it.
I painted a door last week, and I got a little bit of white paint in my hair, and it took forever to come out. But then it just looked like I had little streaks of gray. And it was like, no. It's because I'm a mess. It's not because I'm older. It's.
Do you have any gray hairs yet?
I do not.
I do.
I'm still counting the ones on my beard. Yeah, you got a couple up here. I got a few in the beard now.
I got the side ones going.
The side ones going?
I don't have anything up here.
Do you think if you grew your beard out, you'd see more in your beard? Because I feel like for guys, it starts like down here first a lot of the times.
I don't know. No, because I let it get fairly long, and there's no gray in it. But I do every single time I go and get a haircut because they wrap you in the black like sheet thing. It's like more and more gray and less black on there, and I'm like, this is fun. This is a fun reminder every 5 weeks.
Yeah. Well.
My grandpa Bert didn't go gray until he was like 91, so I'm hoping I got that.
I don't think you're gonna make it to 91, pal.
That's fair. So it'll just never gray.
Yeah.
I had a very lengthy discussion. I won't say argument. I'll say discussion with my father-in-law last week, who thinks he's still blonde. I got to tell you, he's super gray. Like he's like white in like the sideburn region, right? Kind of up to the ear. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I'm gray here and then I'm blonde on top. I was like, no, pal, you're gray here and you're white here. Like you're gray on top and you're like bleach white here. But he's holding on to hope that he's still kind of blonde. And he's got hair. He's got like a good head of hair for a 75-year-old dude, but it's not the color he thinks it is.
The majority of my gray hairs came while he was giving his wedding speech during that time period.
So like it's still happening?
Yeah.
So you're still collecting grays. Yeah. Terrific. Okay, so wait. So how I'm just laughing at the name you have on your screen, which hopefully people can't see. But you're in England. You're in England now. And you're in England currently with Kelly and Ben. Also known as Ken. That's their celebrity couple name.
Interesting.
Did you bring Little Ben to Big Ben?
Well, we haven't gotten. So we're out in the country right now, kind of just relaxing with the sheep and enjoying some nice meals and catching up on sleep as best we can with a newborn. We're going to Paris tomorrow.
What? You're already going? You just got to England like yesterday.
No, we got to England we left on Sunday, so we got to England Monday morning. So we're going to Paris Thursday. It's Wednesday night. Yeah.
I don't know where I am, Alex.
We're actually,
okay,
I think it's
dude.
Thursday for you.
It's Wednesday at 6:30 p.m.
I meant for James.
Yeah, it's super Thursday for me. It's 1:30 a.m. on Thursday morning.
Is this our first time doing this in a different day?
We're all three. I did in Bali on my honeymoon like 2 days ago.
So we're in different, but yeah, we're all three in different continents.
Yeah, that's true. That might be a first.
We've got 2 hemispheres covered.
Yeah,
we're killing it, guys. So sorry, but no, wait. So before you go to Paris, wait, how long? So why such a short trip, Ting? Why go to Paris if you're already over? How is Ben on the flight? Let's start there.
We need to reboot him.
Ben
it's a travel podcast.
Was fantastic. So it was a night flight. So we set ourselves up for success. I will say it was booked with an hour and 10-minute connection Chicago from Indy.
Tight.
Well, it's not.
With a kid.
Indy, it's not. I tell you what's tight. When your flight from Indy to Chicago is delayed by 50 minutes.
Yeah, that makes it tight.
Then it became tight. So we were running through, basically, Kelly, we made a very smart executive decision to, instead of gate checking his stroller, we checked his stroller in Indy because we knew it was going to be tight. And we knew it was probably going to get delayed more because planes don't. It initially started as, it's delayed 20 minutes, but we're like, that's not how flights work, right? So she strapped him to her chest. And I had both bags in my backpack, and it was like, all right, it's like, fortunately, only one section of gates over. They closed the door in 8 minutes. If we run, it's like a 5-minute run. So we'll get there.
Easy.
The problem was she couldn't run that fast, not because she couldn't run fast, but with the way Ben was in the carrier, he was like almost bouncing out. So she had to like push his head down while running to like lock him into place. And we got there, and the gate agent,
it's like a mass damper, but without a top on it.
Right.
You're like, no, it's like that
for a little human. The gate agent was like, "Oh my God, you guys actually made it!" And we were like, "Yeah, it wasn't fun." He was like, "I am beyond impressed." So they obviously were tracking inbound passengers and connections, and they had written us off. Anyways, so that was that little adventure. Got him on the plane. He slept 4 out of 7 hours.
Nice.
Not bad.
4.5 out of 7 hours, which was great. Obviously, we're 15 minutes from landing. It's been everyone to your seats for the past 15 minutes, and he himself.
Oh,
so that, as you would expect. So you deal with that.
So he's got a good comedic sense of timing.
Right.
So wait, when you say you deal with that, do you mean in the sense that like, you put up with the smell until you land and then can go change him? Or like,
Kelly
are you changing him on the coffee table in front of them?
No, Kelly just got up. And was like, my kid pooped. Sue me. And the
wow.
flight attendant was like, okay, be quick. So they were very nice about it. They were very understanding. Yeah. So we landed, we drove out to the part of the country called the Cotswolds. We've been here for 3 days. Have had some amazing food and checked out the little villages. We're going to Paris tomorrow just for a night. Kelly's never been, and we're just going to tick the box since it's so easy to get there with the train. And then we'll be in London for 5 days following that. So,
you're like doing like a day trip to
London.
We're doing like a night trip,
like a single night trip.
You guys have dinner plans yet?
No, it's hard to make dinner plans with a newborn. So
I know a good restaurant I could recommend.
We have send it, but we've learned. I'm very pro schedule.
Yeah, and you're schedule oriented kind of guy.
We've learned that you just can't do that. So
you got to just go with the flow.
We were going to have a nice dinner tonight. We're not doing that because we had a really nice lunch that was late because we were late, and we ate lunch at 2 today. And so, yeah, it's fine. Everything's great.
Tremendous.
Having a great time.
Tremendous.
Yes.
Love that for all of you. Excited. It's going to be an interesting single day adventure to Paris and then back. But
Why
I
do you think
love.
that's it's a train ride?
No, I know.
Mm,
It's the act of like moving hotels for one
mm.
night to then just move back to the same country you were in. Look, I get it. I've moved a lot of hotels since I left my house the last time. I haven't been to my house in a while, guys. It's been a minute.
I just sent you the dinner recommendation. It was one of
So
Hemingway and Fitzgerald's favorite places.
cool.
I got
So yes, James, you are in and out of hotels. Why don't you
Yeah.
catch us up on where you've been since Baku?
Well, I'm in
You're in Singapore.
I'm in
Where did you come
Singapore.
from?
Thank you. Yep. Where'd you come from? Where'd you go? I'm in Singapore. I came to Singapore from
Conai Joe.
Florence.
Okay.
Exactly right. So I left Florence. I don't know. I mean, earlier today, but yesterday, I don't know. I left Florence recently.
Why were you in Florence? Was this rejoining the Dalton family
Let's
Euro
go back.
trip?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's run it back. So
is that just going to be forever? Are they just going to travel Europe for the rest of time?
The whole
Daltons?
family. We've all sold our
You're
homes.
just nomads now.
We're just nomads.
The Swiss family
we each
Hinch
have one suitcase. Yeah, exactly.
Swiss
exactly.
family.
Ironically, we haven't
Do you
made it to
share a
Switzerland
room?
yet, but it's on the list. No, we don't do that. But so Baku. I went to Baku, and then I left Baku and I went to Florence. And the reason I went to Florence is because I needed to be close to Mugello because I got to do my little drive in a Formula One car on Friday.
You did get to do that. We need
Which
to
I
talk
did get
about
to
that.
do. Let's talk about it.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about it ahead of time and kind of teased it a bit, but Haas very generously agreed to allow me to pilot one of their TPC cars. TPC, of course, testing previous cars. As long as it's a 2-year-old car or more, you have at this point unlimited miles. That's kind of changing, or maybe it's already changed. I don't know. Either way, as a bit of a feature for F1 TV, I commentate on F1. I've never driven an F1 car, so the idea was to give me that opportunity. And what was sort of cool was the day was shared with Romain Grosjean, who the last time he drove an F1 car, it tried to oven roast him in, where that was, Bahrain. And after his accident, he missed what would have been his last race in F1 the following week in Abu Dhabi. And then Mercedes had said, hey, we're going to give you a test to let you get back in an F1 car just to, so that wasn't your last experience. But then COVID and complications, and that never ended up happening. And so the team principal at Haas AO had put together this day where Roman was going to get in the car. And my good friend, who's the comms manager there, Stuart Morrison, was like, well, if we split the day, we can kind of do a twofer. And we got Grosjean in the car to kind of get back into F1 and finish a few laps that he didn't get to do post his accident. And then I got the chance to sample F1 machinery for the first time. And it was such a weird day, man, because, and we sort of chatted about this, it rained the entire time. Like, it was a miserable day at the racetrack. Mugello is an incredible racetrack in an incredible part of the world. So scenic, so beautiful, but it poured rain all day long. And Romain was in the car first, and he did a bunch of running all in the wet. And something I learned about TPC testing, Alex, which you'll find as frustrating as I did, is they do not let you purchase intermediate tires. So you can have full wets or slicks. Now, anybody that follows Formula One closely, at least for the last few years, will know that any conditions that require the full wet are usually too wet to even go racing. So while in a 1 or 2 car test, because there were a few other cars there doing some Pirelli testing, with only a few cars on track, maybe you could get away with it as long as there's not a lot of standing water. But fundamentally, the extreme wet only comes out when it's really too wet to run at all. once it dries out enough, you'd go to an inter because the wet degrades too much. Well, inters weren't an option. So Grosjean did all of his running around. It does. Dude, and there's some other things that happen that I'm like, oh my God, even here, even in the pinnacle of motorsports, some of this stuff happens. Red Bull had a whole situation with their program, which was comical. I will tell you offline. But we're there. Grosjean pounded around all day in the wet. It was time to switch over. So I got my first taste of F1 machinery in the wet. And then it started to dry. And Alex, as you know, and this is where, look,
Tim's really interested in this story.
Very, very, very invested. There is just, look, as you know how impressive a Formula One car is. You raced in Formula One. You can also acknowledge that regardless of how good a car is, if you are driving on rain tires, full wets, on a nearly dry track, the car's terrible. Like, there's no car, it doesn't matter how good the car is, there's just nothing that can compensate for that combination of a full wet tire on a nearly dry track. So, like, my first run was kind of in wet conditions, and even then, I was blown away at how late you could brake in the wet in an F1 car. Like, absolutely blown away. And then the next, 3 runs were all on full wet tires on a drying track. And it was getting progressively worse. So, it just felt terrible. The braking was, again, still pretty impressive. And the acceleration is kind of what you'd expect it to be. But I wasn't getting a sense of, that, the downforce and the ability, the capabilities of an F1 car, And then it was drying up, and so after my last run on the wets, they're like, all right, just key up the radio and give us a little bit of an insight around the lap about how dry it is. So I'm driving around at, 100 kilometers an hour and explaining what I see on the track. And I was like, if it was me, if this was IndyCar and this was me, I'd be like 100%, let's throw some slicks on and let's give it a whirl. But this isn't my world. You guys have to make that call. And so we went in the garage, sat for a bit, and I heard after the fact that all the engineers were saying, well, yeah, of course he's going to say it's dry, but we have no idea if it's actually dry. But then the other 2 cars that were there threw on slicks, they went out, and they stayed out for a run. And so the guys were like, all right, I guess it's good enough. And we were counting down the minutes to the end of the test day. Thank God in Italy they run until 6 o'clock, not 5 o'clock. And so they threw on slicks for the last run. And dude, it's ridiculous. And I think the first thing I text you was just dude, and you wrote back, LOL, I know. It is. I have always appreciated and respected the fact that you raced in that category. But now, having sampled, however briefly, what those cars are capable of, my thoughts of you running around Suzuka, my thoughts of you running around Singapore are it is so impressive what those things are capable of and what those drivers have to do.
Did you get the feeling like you were driving on glass?
So what's interesting is this generation of car, with how stiff they have to run them and the ground effects and all that, the bumps were so much more prominent on slicks than on wet tires. On wet tires, there's just so much more give. You felt like a little bump, and it kind of felt like an Indy car. And then bumps that you didn't think were really bumps, they put the slicks on, you're like, ugh, you're like, oh man, that actually kind of hurts. I get why those tracks have to be so billiard table smooth for those cars right now in this current iteration, because you have to racing so stiff.
When George and Lewis a couple years ago and the Mercedes were complaining about their backs from the porpoising, you could relate.
Yeah. I can understand. I didn't have, they've obviously come a long way. They don't have really the porpoising anymore. Mm-hmm. But if I thought about the one there's a bump right kind of by pit in on the front straight at Mugello. And when you hit it in the wet, you kind of felt a little bit. When you hit it in the dry, it was gung, and you're hitting the limiter and false shifting and stuff. And so I was like, man, if I could definitely see that if you got into a pattern of the car just doing this down the straight, that would be very uncomfortable. I could 100% see that. But how late you could break into corners and the entry speed with which you could just throw it in there. And then for like probably more than anything, the combined traction on exits was ridiculous. Like it was ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense that you could be that fast in the middle of a corner, still turning, like you're still halfway through the corner and just start feeding the throttle in with no regard for anything about an oversteer. It just goes. And man, ridiculous. Yeah. It was so much fun. I'm gutted that I only got one run on the slicks, but I'm also so fortunate that I got that one run on the slicks. It's such a weird sort of position to be in. But just the way the thing performs, how it works, the way it works, it's hard to not kind of leave that experience with just a whole new level of appreciation for what the guys that are really good in that series do.
Do you find though that like there's such a far separation from every other category of car? Not forget the performance aspect of it, but just like the build quality and how nice it is to drive. Like that's the thing that blows my mind. You can drive a well-balanced Indy car, you can drive a well-balanced prototype, you can drive a well-balanced GT3 and all this stuff. And they're nice to drive for the most part, but it is a completely different planet to what a Formula One car is. And it's just it's amazing the distance that they have on literally everything else.
It's hard to kind of explain this to people that haven't driven multiple types of race cars, right? But the closest thing I can say is that and this, I don't know if this term makes any sense or is really relevant. There's no slop in anything, right? Like it's a weird word to use.
When you release the clutch for the first time, you're like, oh my God, that's how it's supposed to be?
Right. And like the brake pedal, the throttle pedal, the steering inputs, there's no slop. There's no margin, right? Like everything was built to within the nth degree of tolerance of what it needs to do. And so it just does it all so well. And, like I got very limited dry running. And so trying to push the limits in the fast stuff, but just the way that compared to a wet tire on a dry track, you know what that's like, right? The whole thing sort of slides around, it moves on top of the tire or whatever. Then once you put the slicks on, the thing is just so responsive. Like it's unbelievable. And the fast section, like 6 through 9 at Mugello, like trying to comprehend what this thing was capable of, and I was nowhere near the limit of the car, was unreal. The braking, like the brake system is so efficient. Like you don't have to hit the pedal anywhere near as hard as you do an Indy car. Like even though you're going so fast and you have so much downforce and so much braking capability, the physical effort through the pedal, right? So I'm not talking about whatever pressure translates to the brake system and how all that stuff works. I'm talking about how hard as a driver you hit the pedal. It was a fraction of what you have to, like in an Indy car, you're like, here we go. And you like as hard as you physically can into the brake pedal with your left leg and trying to slow this thing down. And the F1 car, you're just like, just breathe on it. It's like, ugh, stopping so fast.
It helps though when you breathe on it though. You've already got like 4 longitudinal G helping you.
Yeah, like just from lifting off the throttle. It's like,
it's like,
it's so incredible experience. Takes on
a whole new meaning.
Unbelievable. So much fun. Such a cool opportunity. Can't thank Haas and MoneyGram and everybody who let that happen. AO and Stu and everybody. Dom. What a day, man. What a day. And again, I was bummed it wasn't dry the whole day, but I'm hoping that maybe at some point I can weasel my way into another one and do. I was like, well, the 26 cars are so different. We're going to have to do it again with the 26 car to really get a good understanding of it all. Right?
So I'm going to put the ask out. If anybody listens to this has like a vast car collection and you have an F1 car from any year, will you let me drive it like 5 feet?
No.
I just want to like nudge it a little bit. I just want it so that all three of us can say we've driven an F1 car. I don't need to drive it far. I just need to like 5 feet.
But right now, we can all say we've driven an F1 car and raced in the Indy 500. So,
okay, baby steps. We'll burn that bridge when we get to it. I would just like to put it out. I don't know. You know, I feel like I have some friends that maybe have an old F1 car. Probably not.
I mean, but Mario has one.
Oh, does he? Okay. Yeah, I was going to say. Just putting the ask out there. I don't think any of our multi-millionaire listeners that just have like a huge car collection and are down for a laugh.
I mean, if Zach Brown listens to this, he's got a bunch of old F1 cars.
Well, Tim, have you done anything cool?
You know what? I have some racing to cover. Hazel had her first cross-country meet of the season yesterday. She did the 2-miler and got a 20:46. So, you know, just under 6 mile per hour pace.
James, do you remember when Tim was training and then ran a half marathon?
I do.
I should do that again.
Whatever happened to that guy?
I don't know. I ran along with Hazel for some of it, and then one of the refs is like, "Hey, you can't do that."
What?
Why?
He's like, "You're trying to like help her set her pace." I was like, "No, I'm trying to get pictures of my daughter."
It's dumb.
I guarantee you, I'm not going to run 2 miles.
I don't like that ref. Yes.
Do you call him refs in cross country? I don't know.
Whatever, man. Whatever that guy was, I don't like him.
Guy with a flag.
Yeah. So now I'm in Singapore. It's the Grand Prix weekend here, but I had an interesting experience flying in as a travel podcast. You'll appreciate it. As a pilot, you'll appreciate this. So flying again, second time this year on a 747, which again, I'm still shocked they're in existence, but whatever. 747 coming into Singapore, gliding in nicely. And I'm like we're just hovering. We're at that point where we're just hovering above the ground. And you're just waiting for them to kind of pull the throttle back to just get the wheels down, whatever. And I'm like, man, a lot of airport has gone by in the window. This must be a long runway. And then the rear wheels touch. I was like, all right, I guess we're good. And then no sooner do the rear wheels touch does the guy just absolutely mat the throttle and pull out, and we do a touch and go and have to pull up again because there was just a massive tailwind that the guy he was like zero throttle and we were just not falling. And so we had to go and we did a touch and go in the 747, which I thought was kind of fun.
I wouldn't think that'd be that fun.
I mean, I'm sure he was panicking a little bit, but I thought it was kind of cool.
No.
I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
What's funny about jets, well, passenger jets, is you would think, well, they are 99% more capable than general aviation propeller airplanes in all conditions, except one, and that's go-around.
Really?
Because not because they're lacking thrust and lift and capability and performance and everything, but there's such a delay in terms of when they go full juice, right? To the turbine spinning up, to them actually generating thrust, to then creating enough thrust and such to re-lift off and everything. I bet from the time he decided to go around to the time you were in the air was a solid pushing 10 seconds. Whereas on a prop plane, you just hammer it and it sorts itself out because it's immediate throttle and immediate propeller spin and you're back in the air.
That is so interesting.
I prefer not knowing that.
I kind of thought that was sort of how it worked in the sense that I didn't think the throttle response was super immediate.
Oh, no.
But I remember thinking I was floored that as soon as it felt from in the plane, they made the decision to go back up. It was immediate. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe how quickly that thing accelerated. I mean, it's a jumbo jet.
So
it's massive.
They would have gone from 40%, let's call it, to 100, and then they would have been watching the the revs, it's not revs, but the revs go up. And it would have been building. It would have been like,
it's almost like they made that commitment before we even touched the rear wheels down. But we were still like, we've committed to this. And he's just kind of like wheeling the thing because the front never touched. It's just wheeling up the runway.
Wind shear is a really bad thing for jets. And they've got weather systems that now will have a warning, and the planes have a wind shear detection in it because passenger jets have crashed on arrival with nothing wrong with them because the wind will go from being a headwind to a tailwind as you're dropping through an altitude layer. And because of this phenomenon of a turbine engine, it can't recover fast enough. Whereas when you're in a plane,
this is cool to know all this now.
In a non-turbine plane, wind shear doesn't really matter. It'll be bumpy or whatever. But if you had to get out of it, like I said, there's an instant kind of climb out performance, whereas on a jet there isn't. So.
Sorry, anyways, did you say climax performance?
Climb out, but also...
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
What would you know about climax performance?
Okay, guys. We had a comment on our YouTube that I sent you guys yesterday complaining about us spending too long talking about soup. And he was very clear that that's not why he's here. He's here to listen to us talk racing. So, any good soups lately?
I mean, I don't like soup, so I got to say no on that. It's a no for me,
Was
dog.
this Brad from Brownsburg or Avon or whatever?
I don't know. It was somebody on the thing. I sent it to you guys. I feel like out of anger for that, I went and had a French onion soup at the farmer's market. Just to like have some soup to talk about.
What
are our feelings about
burn your mouth?
My in-laws had a French onion soup in Italy that was the thickest, meatiest French onion soup I've ever seen. Like, it was a meal. By the time their mains came, they just packed them up and took them home because the French onion soup.
That sounds like a good meal.
I mean, if you liked soup, it sounded like a nice program. It's not my thing, so I wasn't all about it. But yeah, there's a great French onion soup meal at a little Italian restaurant in, I don't know, somewhere Italy. Anyway, that's all the soup talk we have time for.
Alex, you don't have any soup? No soup to talk about?
So in the actual racing world, there was some news that has emerged. First and foremost, Dennis Hauger, who won the Indy Lights / Next Championship with Andretti this year, is confirmed with Dale Coyne Racing, which is great. I mean, another example of, a young driver coming out of Indy Next and getting straight into the big show, full season, as well as an Andretti technical partnership with them. So clearly still some ties between Hauger and the Andretti squad, which is cool, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he can do behind the wheel of an Indy car, because I feel like in the last, 10 years, we've seen some drivers come out of lights that were dominant in lights and kind of struggled with the transition up. And I feel like we've seen some drivers that were decent in lights, but maybe not the complete headline sort of guys that got into the big cars and like something just sort of clicked and we saw some really good performances.
Yeah. Who knows? I'm glad that, we've talked a lot about this show, or a lot on this show about the Road to Indy. A lot of our guests have talked about the Road to Indy and what an amazing program it is and how it's unlike anything else on the planet, really. And there was a couple of years there where, it was really successful in getting guys from, let's say, karts to lights, but then the step from lights to IndyCar wasn't really happening. And it seems that the past couple of years, the guys that have won the Lights Championship have gotten the opportunities in IndyCar, and it's really making the Road to Indy the complete pathway that it was set out to be. So credit to everyone involved in that for making that what it is, because it would have been really sad if someone like Hauger, after the performances that he had in 2025, wasn't able to make the step for, reason X, Y, and Z. So that's great. The technical partnership thing, I think, I'm not saying this because I'm driving for a team that doesn't have one, because I had the same opinion at McLaren, and quite frankly, I had the same opinion at Andretti. The technical partnerships are getting a little annoying, because I don't know what it is benefiting, aside from, well, I know exactly what it's benefiting. It's benefiting one guy's bank account, and it's benefiting another team's performance. But in terms of the series,
those seem like two pretty good things.
The Formula One has, kind of a stance on this. The Toro Rosso Red Bull relationship has always been in a gray area. The Haas Ferrari relationship was always a little bit in a gray area. What do you think about it, James? Like it seems that it's getting a little bit out of hand, because now, quite frankly, you've got Ganassi with a B team, you've got Penske with a B team, you've got Andretti with a B team. So you've got the three heavy hitter teams, all with subsidiary teams. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Or is that a thing that is completely irrelevant from someone that is commentating on the series and for our fan base, etc.?
That is a great question. That's a very good question. I guess let me answer it by countering with a question in saying that, do you think that technical partnerships a la Ganassi and Shank, a la Penske and Foyt, a la Andretti and Dale Coyne, do you think that they have a massive, or let's call it a meaningful impact on the, not to use the term in a bad way, but like in the B team's performance? Do you think that it's to the point where those teams are performing at a level that they would otherwise not be without that technical partnership?
I think it's certainly allowing those teams to do that. Yes. I don't think there's any evidence contrary to that. And where it's weird for me, and this is coming from a non-competitor standpoint, this is me taking a step back saying I'm not driving against said cars, is there was a very clear direction from IndyCar in terms of the future of the series, of having teams that brought a certain level of quality and commitment to the championship. And they were rewarded with a charter, right? We've seen the rumors that have come out regarding Prema as of late. And, their potential future in the series all kind of being linked to the big spend for not any really guarantee of anything because you don't have a charter, right? Because we've talked about the charter, and the value of a race team without a charter is purely just the equipment that you have, which is whatever the value of that equipment is. It could be 10 cents on the dollar, it could be 20 cents on the dollar, whatever it is, right? So IndyCar took a very hard and fast stance that we want to have 27 charters. We want to have it limited to 3 charters per team. And we want it to be about the quality of the teams and the people that have been here through the thick and thin. We want to reward them for that. I'm just wondering, by making it so that the big teams are having now an influence on the small teams, or on a select amount of small teams, is that really bringing the best organizations into the field for these charter programs? That's my only question. Because, I'm speaking only from, I don't know how the current systems are set up. All I know is that when the technical partnership existed between Andretti and Shank, all of those engineers and such were Andretti employees, right? Those weren't actually Shank engineers. They were Shank mechanics, but they were Andretti employees, right? So that IP is still being kept in-house at Andretti. So when Andretti decides to leave, if Shank doesn't find another suitable replacement, which they did in Ganassi, Shank is going to take you would imagine, a step down, right? Because even though they've been in the championship for the past 2 or 3 years, they haven't been developing their own stuff and their own things. We've heard about the Foyt relationship. If it were to end, all of the good stuff that was brought over would go away, right? It's not like you pay, for the technical support for a year, and then that's, IP that you get to keep. You're just basically renting the services of that big team.
Right.
So that's my only caveat to it is it really bringing up all of the teams into the level that IndyCar is wanting?
So your position on it is more that those teams are so beholden to the whim of the A teams in terms of whether or not that they continue on those partnerships, that it's not really bringing the team to a higher level.
My only point is, and it's just an argument, right, is you've got Prema, right, who has invested a huge amount of capital, has brought in people from overseas, has really tried to figure out how to go IndyCar racing and make IndyCars go fast. And that's a very hard thing to do from the European way of racing. We saw it with Carlin. We saw the struggle that was. We've seen it in the past, right? And Prema was no exception, albeit for going on pole for the Indianapolis 500. So Prema, if they were to leave the championship, let's say, and if they were to leave the championship because they weren't able to have a charter and have a guarantee of a future earnings in the sport, right? Let's say those things happened. And it was because there was a team that was existing and they were basically renting performance. Is that right? Is my only question. Because Prema went about, I'm not saying there's a right or a wrong way. I'm saying they went about it the traditional way. Right. And are not being guaranteed or rewarded anything. Meanwhile, teams are going about it the non-traditional way. It's the very efficient way. If I was a team owner, I'd probably do the exact same thing because 100%. If I could spend X amount of millions of dollars and have instant performance with another team's 15 years developed IP, of course I'm going to do that. But is that really elevating the championship?
So the 2 points I'll make, and again, not necessarily in support or opposition to, but it's just the two sort of points to, I think, keep in consideration. Anything that condenses the field from a performance standpoint is good for the sport globally, right? Because you're increasing competition. Yeah. So if you've got Dale Coyne Racing that is normally a second off the pace of Andretti, and now all of a sudden with the same equipment, with some shared engineering prowess, we bring that down to 4/10. That brings more people into the mix and essentially, in theory, makes the racing tighter and better. So you could argue that helps the championship in a global sense, right? From the Prema example is a good one in terms of the charter program, but I think the caveat to that is you've got a team like Dale who maybe doesn't have the resources or has never had the resource that Prema did getting going, but has put in, 35 years or whatever of blood, sweat, tears, and cash into the series. So fine, he's now trying to increase the performance of his team through this, per the rules currently, totally legitimate way. Are you saying that he's not as deserving of a charter because he's doing that when you look at the fact that he's put in 35 years of being in the series versus Prema that's shown up in year one, spent a bunch of money, sure, but are they more deserving than a guy that's been here for 3 decades?
No. And that's a very valid point. I would say my only then rebuttal to that is Dale, this partnership is alleged to be only one car. And it's only alleged to be the Hogger car because Dennis is under some sort of further longer term relationship.
Umbrella agreement.
We have no idea about. Right. So you're gonna have one car that is adding to the competition, and then you're gonna have another car which in theory will be quite a bit different. And so for whatever driver that gets in that car, whether that's a guy that finished second place in Indy Lights or third place in Indy Lights or someone from F2 or wherever, right? In sports cars, whoever.
Former F1 guy.
That's not a really good situation to have because then you're having a rookie, right? Having all of this support of a bigger team. And then under the same umbrella, you're having a rookie that could have very drastically different fortunes because they're with the original Dale Coyne Racing team, right? Which in some respects is phenomenal. Like you look at what they did this year, they beat me in the championship. So it's not saying anything against Dale Coyne Racing. All I'm saying is we're starting to really muddy the waters here in terms of teams aren't allowed to have more than 3 charters per the rules. So what they are now doing is they are basically buying cars at other teams. They're not even doing it for whole teams and having whole B teams. They're just buying individual cars to place their drivers because they don't want to lose them, but it's under different umbrellas and branding. And I feel like it's heading in a direction that gets messy and does hurt the integrity of the whole system that was designed.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think for me, the one thing that is glaringly, stand out in this is that having a different number of cars allowed in the field than charters seems fundamentally flawed. It's different in NASCAR when tracks can accommodate more than what the charter number is. But like, if we just went to 26 charters and only 26 cars allowed to enter any given race, we'd eliminate some of that problem. You can tackle the technical partnerships a different way, but like having 25 charters, but allowing 27 cars to show up to a race and start a race. So you could potentially have 29 cars show up, but only 27 start, but only 25 have charter. That whole thing seems so convoluted and messy to me. I think we should pick 26, make it 26 charters, 26 cars start every race outside Indy, and let's actually create some value to owning one of those charters. Because right now you can spend all this money like Prema did without any guarantee that you're going to be in races if someone else shows up. Like the whole thing just seems a little bit, this isn't the days of like USAC when it's run what you brung and everybody shows up and tries to make the field. Like we're not there anymore. Hi, Kelly. And I don't know. I still think it seems flawed for us with the current landscape of IndyCar to have different numbers of charters or whatever they're called and potential starters. You know what I mean? But
to end on this, I just think it was always cool. It was always really cool in IndyCar. The IndyCar I grew up watching was the Dale Coyne stories, right? Of this Sonny's Barbecue, underperforming, underfunded car, Boy Scouts of America car, whatever, right? They would show up and every once in a while would smack it on the podium or would win a race or would
Justin
do whatever,
Wilson
right?
in a Dale Coyne car beating Ryan Briscoe in a Penske at Watkins Glen.
Exactly. And now for the most part, that doesn't exist. I mean, so because truly now there is Juncos, Hollinger, ECR, Ray Hall, and McLaren. Those are the only teams left in the championship that are independent. Everyone else is all linked up together. So you don't have the same, in my mind, storylines that can develop. And it's just a little weird. But maybe that's just the future of the series. Maybe at one point, everyone's going to be linked up, and that'll be what we have. Juncos and McLaren did try and do a thing, but didn't really work out too well.
Yeah, it's more of a commercial. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting. It'd be interesting if it was kind of positioned that those sort of technical partnerships can't exist anymore. I wouldn't necessarily be against that because, I think that's kind of the nature of the sport. But like you say, that's a good place to end because we are over time now. So thanks for listening. We'll cover Nashville next week and have fun in England/Paris/England. And I'll have fun in Singapore/Singapore/Singapore. And Tim, whatever, have fun or don't. I don't really care.
Happy birthday, Larry. I'll say that.
You're Larry?
Happy birthday, Larry.
Oh, happy birthday, Larry. Yeah, that's good news. Happy birthday to Larry. Appreciate you, pal. This has been Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. Off Track is part of the SiriusXM Sports Podcast Network. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please give a 5-star rating and leave a review. Subscribe today wherever you stream your podcasts. We are at Ask Off Track on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Hinchtown and at Alexander Rossi. If you want to follow Tim, though we have no idea why you would, he's at the Tim Durham on Twitter. Find us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel for exclusive video content. Off Track is produced by Tim Durham, and by that we mean Tim.